Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living, a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. And Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes in our lives. Our promise here is to reveal, inspire, uplift, celebrate, and magnify your greatness. We acknowledge our presence here on the traditional and unceded lands of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and coastal Salish peoples. These people are still here, and we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of Indigenous histories as we work towards honoring and inviting the truth. In a similar fashion, we acknowledge how the labor of enslaved Africans and their descendants, who suffered the horrors of transatlantic trafficking, chattel slavery, and Jim Crow, created so much of what we know in this country today, including our culture, economic growth, and development. We also name the Asian and Chicano people who toiled with little recognition. We are indebted to their labor and sacrifice, and we acknowledge the tremors of that violence that throughout the generations and resulting impacts that can still be felt and witnessed today. Please join me for our December chant, which is on the screen for you to see. O come, the mind and heart divine. I open to the east through every line. The choice is to feel boredom or surprise. Show judgment or forgiveness with my eyes. Rejoice, rejoice, the heart and mind within. I let new loving kindness come again. Oh, come, the mind and heart divine. I open to the east every time. The choice is to feel boredom or surprise. Show judgment or forgiveness with my eyes. Rejoice, rejoice, the heart and mind within. I let new loving kindness come again.
Good morning. This is a time that we set aside each Sunday and allow ourselves, give ourselves permission to just be chill, to center ourselves and be present in the moment. So I just invite each of us to get comfortable, and where if you're sitting, standing, however, wherever you are, allow yourself to just find that sweet spot, knowing that this is the time for you. This is the time for you. And with that, I invite us to take 3 nice, deep cleansing breaths, allowing our body to take in the oxygen and then release what it doesn't need, the carbon dioxide. And so let's take a nice deep breath in. Hold it and release. Another deep breath in. Bring it and release. Deep breath in, feeling that diaphragm expand. Holding it and release. And if you're comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes. Start off with this allowing that vibration to flow through your body. And the first thing I would like to invite you to join me in a moment of silence for all the people that have been killed in the violence yesterday. In Australia, the 11 that were killed. In Providence, the 2 that were killed. And the rest, others that were injured. May we know peace for their friends and their families. Just knowing that they are loved through this loss. Thank you. And now I might seem ironic, but even though there's chaos and strife in the world, we can still find joy. We can find joy in the little things that happen around us. And so I just invite you to ponder on what does joy mean to you? And how do you experience it in times of struggle? So just ponder that for a few moments. What is joy? How do I experience it in times of turmoil, trouble, chaos? I am joy. Joy fills me up. I send joy out to those around me. And so knowing that God is joy, that we are joy. Carry that with you throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year, throughout your life. Knowing that joy surrounds us. So with that, I invite us to go back to the room, to open your eyes when you're ready. And so it is. And so we'll their declaration 3 times. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. One more time. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. And so it is. Our reading today comes from the magazine Psychology Today. And the title of the article is The Importance of Joy in the Darkest of Times. Is it okay to be happy when things are bad? I'm really looking forward to my vacation, Janelle told me, but I feel guilty, like I shouldn't be taking a trip just for fun right now. It's like I shouldn't be having a good time with all the terrible stuff that's going on. Angie said something similar. I have this precious granddaughter who brings me such joy into my life, but I feel like I shouldn't be feeling such joy when so many people are suffering. This year, for many people, the winter seems darker, psychologically and emotionally, than usual. If you're feeling down right now, you're not alone. No matter where you live or what your political beliefs are, it's hard to stay positive at a time when turmoil, anger, hostility, and potential danger seem to surround us. But should you feel bad about feeling joy at moments during these times? Brene Brown tells us that many of us fear joy because it makes us feel vulnerable. What happens? We worry when the good feelings are taken away from us. But Brown says the only good news is that joy, collected over time, fuels resilience, ensuring we'll have reservoirs of emotional strength when the hard times happen to us. Research backs her up. Interesting, resilience helps us feel joy, and joy is part of the toolbox we all need in order to be resilient. One of the things I love about my work as a psychotherapist is seeing clients, many of whom have suffered greatly in their lives, adapt to and recover from the pain that brings them to therapy. The client's pain and suffering can be difficult to listen to, but I feel so lucky to be part of the growth and joy that gradually emerges from the pain. Alex Gitterman, a professor of social work who studied resilience, who wrote that the ability to adapt and bounce back from difficult circumstances is partially inborn, but it is also something that can be learned. Several important qualities contribute to our ability to adapt with flexibility and strength to painful moments in our lives. They include, number one is the ability to connect with others. Two is the ability to accept support from others. Three is the ability to give back to others. And I love this one. Four, the ability to laugh. The ability to experience joy contributes to each of these other categories. Janelle, anticipating her vacation, was looking forward to a relaxed, joyful time with her boyfriend. Angie's joy at holding her granddaughter involved a connection not only to the baby, but also to her son and daughter-in-law. If you accept help from someone at work or offer a suggestion to a friend, you are appreciating support from and giving back to others. And if you laugh at a silly joke or special moment, you are participating in the pleasure that brings resilience. According to researchers at the Mayo Clinic, laughter stimulates our organs and muscles and allows them to decompress and de-stress. It also improves our immune system and the capacity to enjoy ourselves and our physical health. So it is. Remember to laugh.
Lately I've been reeling, watching the nightly news. Don't seem to find the rhythm, just wanna sing the blues. Feels like a song that never stops. Gotta get that fire back in my bones before my heart turns into stone. So when somebody please pass the megaphone, I'll shout it on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hear my prayer tonight, I'm singing to the sky. Give me strength to raise my voice, let me testify. Oh, hear my prayer tonight, 'cause this is do or die. Time has come to make a choice, and I choose. Let it move you, let it move, let it move you. Yeah, I choose. Let it move you, let it move, let it move you. Yeah, back when I was younger, my eyes were full of life, but now that I am older, I live at the speed of light. Feels like the cycle never stops, feels like it's never gonna. Gotta get that fire back in my bones before my heart turns into stone. So when somebody please pass the megaphone, I'll shout it on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hear my prayer tonight, I'm singing to the sky. Give me strength to raise my voice, let me testify. Oh, hear my prayer tonight, 'cause this is do or die. The time has come to make a choice, and I choose. Let it move you, let it move, let it move you. Yeah, I choose. Let it move you, let it move, let it move you. Though I walk through the valley in the shadow of night, oh, with you by my side, I'm stepping into the light. I choose. Let it move you, joy, 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 joy down in my heart to stay. Joy, 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 joy down in my heart to stay.
On a brighter note, while our circumstances haven't changed, I guess our perspective can. Right, Randy?
Couldn't have said it better myself. This is Channel 13, Nancy Randy. Good night.
So I chose that piece because today we're going to look at and explore joy. And a couple of the things that we're going to be looking at with the experience of joy is that we live in difficult times. This is the first night of Hanukkah. And Hanukkah was a time after terrible things had happened. The Israelites' temple had been destroyed, had been desecrated. And when they were going to celebrate, they didn't have enough oil to conduct their services. And yet, night after night, despite not having it, it showed up. And that's the essence of joy. Joy shows up. What I'm going to talk about are 3 ways to connect with how joy shows up. And I'm literally just using the letters in the word joy. So it shouldn't be hard to go back to them and use them. With joy, there's J for join. And I'm not necessarily talking about an introvert joining into a large group. I'm talking about the experience of joining what we love, joining what delights, joining what brings light to us. Now, the second letter in the word joy is O. And O is to overlook. We're gonna talk about overlooking those petty nuisances, because I can't speak for you, but there are so many times that there are just little things that get to me. And I let those little things take up the full screen. But the overlook is to set them aside and to put my attention on what I love. And then the third quality, the third letter in the word joy is yes. How often are we saying yes to life? Life is continually offering itself to us. There is not a moment when life is not offering itself to us. And yet, how often do we consciously and unconsciously say no to what life has for us? So the experience of joy, I want to distinguish it from happiness. With happiness, what I want to propose is that happiness is when we get what we want. That we're happy that we've gotten what we wanted. And with that notion of getting what we want, I want to distinguish between expectation, which can make so many things negative. We're expecting things to be a certain way, and when they don't meet our expectation, I suspect, has anyone here not had an expectation? And has anyone here not had a time that their expectation was not met? What I want to propose in place of expectation is my own word, acceptation. How do we step into the process of accepting what it is that we have in life? Now, with acceptation, that doesn't mean that we're not doing things. It doesn't mean that life simply happens and we're like, okay. Yesterday morning, I participated in a racial equity training with the Seattle School District and with the people that are participants in racial equity teams. And in the process of pursuing racial equity, we often hear racial biases. We often hear racially inappropriate remarks, sexist remarks, homophobic remarks. And acceptation is not just saying, oh, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Acceptation is accepting who we are and deciding what we're going to be doing in response. One of the things I participated in was choosing about calling in, which is to have a personal conversation with somebody. Perhaps to ask, when you said this, I don't know that I understood. Rather than, how dare you say that? How dare you be such a sexist, racist, homophobic blank? Because when we come on with that kind of attack mode in a large group, you have just said something, you have crossed over a line, and you are a terrible person. That whole orientation doesn't really make us all that much better. I don't know that anybody can think of a time when we have been scolded or shamed or called out that we felt like, oh, I should really follow that person's advice. Instead, we become defensive, we become ashamed, we become backed up into our corners. And Michael was making a little hissing noise with that. We're in that hissing place. So with acceptation rather than expectation, we accept what's possible for us. Now, the title is Joy in Spite of What We See. So when I was going to bed last night, that was where I landed. The talk proposed was originally about shedding our skins like a snake and shedding our old dry skin and taking on supple new skin. Sorry, I just wasn't into it. That just didn't really, it didn't really move me. I really couldn't find much energy around it. So I'm not talking about that. And I landed with joy in spite of, because with this time of year, there can be this like almost command. You will feel joy. And that can be very challenging. Some years ago, when I was experiencing the first time that my kidneys were failing, I was really at my end. I had had a headache that on my pain scale, I'm a pretty high tolerant pain person, but on my scale of 10, I was at an 11 all the time. And I just felt terrible. And I started to question, why am I here? What am I here for? How am I doing any good in the world? And I had other people asking me that same question. How was I doing any good in the world? If you were to kill yourself and not be caught, we'd make really good insurance money on you. And it was that kind of comment that made me kind of think, I don't know if this is the best relationship that I'm in. So there are times that we find ourselves pushed to the edge. And in that time of being pushed to the edge, it doesn't mean that we cut ourselves off from joy. Because at that time, when I got the call on Christmas morning that they found a no mismatch donor for me, I had the experience of a miracle. And my bet is that every one of us have had an experience of a miracle. I know that Stephanie was a donor for her mother when her mother needed a kidney transplant. Stephanie was her mother's miracle. Stephanie didn't stop to think, how is this going to affect me? She put her mom's needs first. And that connects with that first letter in joy, join. The way to access joy is for us to join. It may be joining in an activity that we love. It may be joining a group of people that hold similar beliefs to what we are believing. That we are going to stand up. There have been those no king rallies. And for each new no kings rally, there have been more people there. Joining is a place where we find that there is something bigger than just ourselves. There is something in the world, there is something in the cosmos that excites us, that ignites our passion. If we pause and think about what it is that we love, can we look to what we love and can we join with that? So in the idea of joining, like I said, it doesn't have to be, I'm joining a big group of people because I'm an introvert and I don't love that. Joining means joining in something that we love. That is a doorway to joy. That is a way for us to experience joy. That is not connected to specific things, but it's a feeling, it's a sensation, it's a way of being in the world that changes us. In the song, I didn't show the very beginning of it, but what was happening was it was a newscaster. And we were getting negative news about a countrywide hurricane, which was a bad thing. Don't we have a countrywide hurricane happening right now? If we just retreat and make ourselves small and silent and invisible, we are not able to respond to that hurricane. In the song, people said that they were going to look for and find joy. In the song, they're all dancing at the end, and it changes, like in The Wizard of Oz, it changes from black and white to full color. When we are in our passions, isn't our life full of more color? There's a psychologist, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who discovered that when we are engaged in what we love, our sense of time changes. We can do what we love and have time seem to fly. How many of us have that experience when we join in with what we love? Time has stopped to be present. We aren't looking at the clock. We aren't counting down the seconds. We've stepped away from expectation and we are fully in acceptation when we join in with what we love. Now, the second thing that I'm going to propose is the idea of overlooking what bothers us. And when I talk about overlooking what bothers us, I'm not talking about not speaking up. I'm not talking about letting people be harmed. I'm not talking about passively permitting negative things to happen. I'm talking about all of those little irritations which we can pick up and hold on to and yap about. Now, none of us may do it, but has anyone have a friend that just talks about things and we're like, our thought is very much like the Bob Newhart in that clip that I've shown, get over it, stop it, just stop it. That overlook is really that same kind of mantra, stop it, just stop it. But I keep worrying that I'm going to end up buried. Stop it. Stop focusing on what we don't like. How many of us spend time focused on all these little things, all these little annoying things? We know with how the mind works that what we put our attention on, what does it do? It increases. So what I'm proposing as an access point to joy is to overlook it. Yes, I see it, but like Phyllis said before the service started, she identified that their house, they had a leak and they had to repair the wall and the insurance wasn't going to cover it. And yet, rather than focusing on how annoying that is, because if you get insurance, you kind of think that they're going to cover you. That's what you kind of think. But what Phyllis described was she refocused on gratitude. We're at a time where people's houses are being flooded, where there is so much water that people can't be in their homes. People in other parts of the country are calling folks in Washington saying, "Are you all right?" Because the news about us is not great. So what Phyllis did is she looked at gratitude. Gratitude is a quick access point to overlooking. When we have all these little things that annoy us, that irritate us, the invitation is to overlook it rather than elevate. I know it's great to be a victim. It's great to have to look for people's sympathy. Oh, little Vaughan, what you had to go through. That's terrible. Oh, I can't believe you had to face that. Oh, we like it when people are like that. But it's not really something that advances us. That victimization. So overlooking is a backdoor out of that victimization process. An acceptation process. Acceptation. And finally, there's the saying yes to life. Each one of us has passions. Even when we're at our lowest, even when we're at our most anxious, even when things look darkest, there are things that we still care about, and they may not feel very available. They may feel at such a distance. When we're in this time when people are fleeing their homes because they can't stay there, because there's a word out to evacuate, the yes is to do that. Do what's going to keep you alive. Do what's going to keep you well. In this season, that notion of being spoon-fed or having joy shoved down our faces, it can be very trying. Before my transplant, I was not a gung-ho, yes, happy celebration person. And people telling me I should be something that I am not. How many people like it when people tell us what we should do? How well do we like it when we're telling ourselves what we should do? And the process of saying yes. Saying yes to what it is that life has, that acceptation. Right now, things are difficult, and we live in a world, we live in a cosmos where there is always an and. And the thing about that and is that it comes from within. If we're looking for the world to give us that and, that's that place of expectation. I can do this if the world does this. We have the power to say yes to life. Just take a moment and consider the times that we said yes when it felt most difficult. We faced situations that we thought we'd never have to face. We faced challenges. We were unsettled. We were distraught. And yet here we are through those. Now, some people don't make it through those. Some people choose to end their lives. That's the ultimate no. To say no to their life. Can we create a yes for even the people that have given up? So obviously, you all know what the life work is going to entail. The life work is going to be one of those, the life work is going to be an action from each of those letters. Where are we going to join? Where are we going to join with our passions? Where will we overlook those petty annoyances that we elevate, that we blow up into humongous, insurmountable, horrific events? And when and how often can we say yes to life? I'm not saying to say yes to the point of burnout. Please do not follow that path, but say yes to what life has to offer. Say yes to what fuels and feeds the soul. Say yes to what uplifts and enlightens and brightens. Say yes to those passions that each of us have. So that is today's message around accessing joy, that we access it by joining, we access it by overlooking, and we access it by saying yes. So I say amen, ashe, and so it is. And thank you to the folks on YouTube who joined us today or who watched us today. I hope you have a great time in this holiday season and a happy first evening of Hanukkah.
Well, there is some emotion in that talk. Well, on my end of it anyway. Talk about it later. But today is, I'm going to cut us off and say goodbye. Goodbye.